What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to channel ANDERZÉN. Today's video is one you will not want to miss, but let's go ahead and jump into the adventure of a morning I had to get to work before we start our actual topic. Welcome to VLOGMAS Day 2. Alright guys, super icy out right now. Looks like they did come through and salt our neighborhood, which is good. I don't know if it's salt, but they put something down. Let's go ahead and cold start this thing. Haven't drove it in a few days. Guys, just broke my ice scraper. This stuff is frozen out. I should have cleared this out yesterday. It's messed up. So I'm gonna have to wait a little while this heats up. I don't know about you guys, but the battery sounded a little weak when I cold started right now. But still fired up fine. But heat this thing up so we can get that ice to melt a little bit on the windshield, and then I'll move it out of here. Just moving it down lower part of the neighborhood so my wife doesn't have to try to get out of the ice right here. Alright guys, I was getting too cold, had to pop the gloves out. And it's snowing again right now. Alright, I'm about quarter of the way through the windshield right now. It's getting easier to chop it off though. It's getting warm, so let's go ahead and continue getting that stuff off. In a second. I'm gonna go check with my wife though, because it's snowing again right now. I don't know if it's the best idea for her to drive. We'll see. I'll ask her what she thinks. Alright guys, well, my wife does not want to drive with the possibility of it keeping snow coming down, so I'm gonna go ahead and take the M113 today just because we haven't been driving it that much. I want to make sure it's driven. The door handle was frozen on me when I was trying to get in. Oh yeah. We got gas? Yes, we do. Always gotta check if you got gas in the M163. This thing is an absolute gas hog. Not like terrible, but you know, pretty bad. Anyways, let me get myself situated and then we'll head out. Low key, it's really coming down now. I really can't believe that the school district decided yesterday was too much, but today is not. Does not make sense. The past 3 days, really, I don't understand their calls on no school versus school. My car's literally slipping in the ice right now. Odd decision on their part. Being a teacher, for those that don't know, you get to see a lot of odd decisions behind the scenes. And I'm in a very good school district and a very good school, and I have good people that I work with, but some of the decisions are made, they're just like, bro, what? But anyways, I'm not trying to rant or hate on my school at all, but keeping it real with you guys. All right, guys, we made it literally right on time. All right, I'll catch you guys later on in the day. Good thing about having the Mac set up at work now, I can also use it. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into today's topic, how you can manual swap your Mercedes AMG. So I'm gonna switch to screen recording now. We'll go ahead and kind of voice over as we're going. That way you guys can get an easy view at everything we got going on. All right, guys, what's going on? We're gonna go ahead and dive into how to manual swap your Mercedes AMG. More specifically, the early 2000s era AMGs, M112, M113 variants, etc. These all have the same bell housing patterns for those that don't know already, as well as pretty much every motor from that time all the way up to the V12s. So theoretically, you can manual swap a V12 as well. Something I've definitely considered, but don't know if I want to go down that rabbit hole just yet. But maybe if you guys really want me to, let me know in the comments down below. Manual swap a V12. So we're going to go over basically the essentials of how and where and what are the prices of the things that you need and where you can find them, all that good stuff. All right. So we're going to go for transmission, pedal assembly, drive shaft, shifter, and shift linkage options, and anything else that we might need to get these projects done. And it's not that much, to be honest, and it's probably going to cost a lot less than you guys would think. So first thing I'm going to show you guys is a big life hack, and hopefully you guys appreciate it and respect it and don't overshare the word, but whoever stumbles upon this video and you don't know about this, this is going to save you some money. All right, so we're going to go to carpart.com. Okay, and for those that don't know about this site is like a gold mine. This is a national database from all of the junkyards and auto recyclers around the US and other countries as well. So it's a place that you can find crazy deals. Just to throw one off the top of my head, there was once, and I should have bought it, I'm mad at myself that I didn't, but I once found a 6-piston brake setup for from an SLK 55 performance pack, and the rotors, calipers, and brake pads were all listed for $700. Now typically you would pay $700 just for rotor, things like that. So my setup, I got really lucky. I got all brand new stuff when I did my 6-piston swap. Ended up being around like $1,000 or so. But that is one deal that I wish I would have jumped on. I actually told them I was going to call them back. They closed. I called the next day, and they actually changed the price because they realized it was probably too low. So, but if I would have bought it right then and there, they would have obliged. So yeah, there's so many deals to be had on this site. So it's definitely worth checking out for anything that you guys are looking for, any car, any whatever. But we're going to look for the transmission specifically on this site. So let's go ahead, jump into it. I'm going to search for Crossfire transmissions, because if you don't know, the Chrysler Crossfire is basically built on the SLK platform. They're all Mercedes parts for the most part, drivetrain wise. And it's just one of those ones that came in a manual, came in a lot more manuals than a lot of the Mercedes, so they're a little more common to find around the US, and they're a Chrysler product, so people don't really pay attention to them much to be honest, unless they're in that niche of enthusiasts for that market.
So I'm just going to look at 2005. It'll search for all the ranges because it's, you know, a similar part number across those. And I'm going to look for right here, transmission. If I could get down there, there we go, making our way. Okay, transmission, there we go. And I'm going to just do all areas, and I will enter postal code around this area. And of course I need to get the make and model. So let's go to Chrysler. And where are we? Chrysler Crossfire, right here. Okay, I'm gonna search it, see what we get. It's gonna ask you want a manual transmission, automatic, is it a SRT6 or not? That's the supercharged M112, if you guys don't know. So I'm gonna search it. Now what will happen is you're gonna get all the populated database around the US and Canada and elsewhere that'll show you, and you can separate this by, or you can organize this by location, price, etc. I'm just going to jump through here and show you guys some examples of things you can find. And to be honest, when I was first doing these, you know, really researching, you could find these things for $200, $300 all day long. But I think with the combination of people like, you know, myself and Jick Jacks and Dimitri and all the other people, Kyle, Abdallah, all these people that have swapped, these are Benz Mobbin and other people on IG and YouTube you guys might know of. All these people that have started to manual swap these cars, I'm guessing that auto recyclers and things have noticed, like, I'm sure they have numbers and statistics on what's been selling, and they've probably been seeing a bunch of Mercedes manual transmissions getting sold. So whereas they were sitting around for 10 years, now all of a sudden they're a hot item, the prices have definitely gone up. So you kind of have to pick and choose, but you can still find bargains. And if you're a good negotiator, there's no problem with calling and trying to negotiate a better price. That's what I ended up doing for my E420, and was able to wiggle off like $400 from the price they had it listed for. Bought my transmission for around $250 and picked it up locally. My Crossfire transmission that was used in the C55, I actually bought it off eBay, so that's another option for you. And I got that one for around $350 shipped all the way from the East Coast. And it only had 36,000 miles. The E420 Trans had 23,000 miles. So crazy deals to be had. Anyways, let's just hover through here right quick, and I'll show you just some examples of places and things you can find. So starting off the top, remanufactured units. These are near me in Washington. Absurd prices. You're going to see that too. You're going to see cheap, and you're going to see just overwhelmingly absurd prices. $6,000 for a manual transmission from back then. I don't care if it's refurbished. That is like insane. So you could call them, you'd be like, hey, is this real? I've spoken with a few of these yards. Some of the yards, you guys know, they don't have people that are the friendliest there, and they might just cold shoulder you. Some of the yards have extremely nice and genuine people that you can talk and, you know, make a deal with. So pick and choose your battles there. But let's just scroll down. Let's see what's, you know, I'm seeing $600 as a cheap price right now. $450 right here, 128,000 miles. And you'll notice they'll most of the times have pictures of the vehicles, so you can kind of take a look at if you want to take a risk on it or not. If you are going with the Crossfire transmission, I would recommend trying to get a later model, and that goes for any of these. Try to get as late a model as possible so that you avoid kind of the first year hiccups. The Crossfires did have bad first gear synchros in some of the first year models. They would pop out of first gear while you're driving, but it was pretty rare, to be honest. So it's not a huge concern, but it's definitely something you want to take consideration of. But right here, guys, you don't even have to negotiate this one. Look at this. I should probably buy this right now. $250. It's in Van Nuys, California. This is a great yard, by the way. I've talked to them at Raymar Auto Parts. 98,000 miles. This thing's got a ton of life left. $250. You got one right above it, Mendoza Auto Dismantling. 70,000 miles, $450. I guarantee you call them up, negotiate with them. They'll work with you on the price. And if you're in California, you can pick these things up all day long for $200 to $400 if you're driving to these locations especially. Okay, let's just keep going a little bit. $399. Let's look for a low mileage one. 44,000 miles, $800. I mean, even at that price, that's a great price for a low mileage transmission. This is like pennies on the dollar compared to most transmissions from other models that you would want to find. I mean, go look for a BMW ZF, you know, even 5-speed. You're going to be paying $800 like off the bat for most of these. In this case, we're finding ones that are $250 up to $800. All of those are good deals, to be honest. It's just the lower the price and lower mileage you can find, the better deal you have. So I recommend trying to search and bargain hunt and all this stuff. Here's one listed for $300. It's in Texas. We don't know the mileage. That's one worth calling about. Say, hey, what's the mileage on this car? What can we do? I'm in this state. What is freight going to cost? All that. Okay. Cool thing is, a lot of times, like I said, they'll have pictures. They'll have pictures of the whole setup. You can see the motor, M112 with the little Crossfire beauty cover on it to trick you. Yeah, so just do some homework. This site, like, to be honest, this is kind of like a secret treasure. So me sharing this with you guys, I hope you guys appreciate it. I don't want to gatekeep by any means. So I'm kind of letting the reins go of this site. And I hope you guys can use it to your advantage, and it'll help you with your guys' builds, no matter what car and what you're using it for. But this is like as invaluable as you can get. This is like as valuable as you can get as far as internet resources and comparing different national databases of auto parts. There's others out there, you know, there's definitely others out there that you guys have probably heard of before, and this might not even be the best one, but it's a great one that I've used very frequently just to scour, and it's also a good place to compare on used parts. Like if you find a part on eBay, compare it to here, you negotiate back and forth, maybe you can work yourself a deal. So I always enjoy that. I love a negotiation. I love calling around and kind of searching and finding the places and things that I want. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy that one. So let's just say we pick up, let's go to one that has some mileage on it at an actual listing. We're just going to round this. Let's say we pay, I don't know, $300, $350, okay? Let's say we get a trans with anywhere from 60 to 100,000 miles, and we pay, let's just say we pay $300, okay? Because I feel like I could do that. I could find that definitely. And depending on the project and the budget that I had, I would try to get that as low as possible. The other thing you need to consider for the transmission side of things, if you have a junkyard near you, especially if you're in a state like a Texas or a California where you have a ton of yards, go try to find a crashed Crossfire or an SLK or something that you can find with the manual still in it, and go pull it yourself. You will literally pay pennies on the dollar, probably $150 for a transmission last time I checked pick and pull pricing. And you can get everything with it. You can get the clutch, you can get the flywheel, you can get the shift assembly, all of those things. You just saved yourself the searching of all these different things that we're going to, and you got all of it for a fraction of the cost. Saved a ton on the overall project cost for yourself. That being said, let's go ahead and jump at the next thing that we can go search for our project. Alright guys, so now that we've taken a look at where you can find the transmissions, I want to go ahead and head over to eBay and give you guys some life hacks on how to find things like drive shafts, pedals, and all the miscellaneous items you need. So let's go ahead, jump over to eBay. I don't know if my account's going to be signed in, but we can just look at stuff. We don't even have to sign in. So let's go, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out by searching simple things like, you know, Mercedes manual transmission. Let's just see what pops up. Okay, so you can see right away we start to see some gearboxes popping up. Okay, and when you see these, like just an example right here, don't buy a swap kit, guys. You never know what the condition of all these things is going to be individually. I mean, it could be great still, but somebody's making a ton of money off of you buying this as a whole. Now this is a little bit different because it's, you know, a 17 swap kit or 717, but anyways, just an example right there. Let's go ahead back. I want to find Mercedes manual transmission pedals. Okay, so first thing you're going to notice is you're going to find a ton of pedals for W124s, W201s, all kinds of things, W202s, W210s, but you're not going to find as common the W203 pedal assemblies. Okay, You might get lucky. You might. And some of these might even work in the W203. They all have very similar bolt patterns. So a lot of them are interchangeable. It just depends. It'll change kind of your foot placement and kind of the depth of how they sit. But let's say like, let's search W203. Let's just see if we get anything. Okay. Switch this to W203. Okay, and we're not going to get anything off of that. I can try to change condition to, yeah, it doesn't even have anything. So it's only new items. We know that it's not what we need. So we could try to change up the search pedal assembly maybe. But that's mostly going to give you automatic stuff, right? So one resource I would like you guys to use. If we go to YouTube and let's go search ANDERZÉN C55 and let's search my actual completed video. Which one is? I don't even know which one it is now. Let's do manual complete. I'm not signed into my account right now, which is why I'm not giving you guys this stuff. Anyways, inside of here, for those that haven't seen it or whatever, I have the full part number list of things that you need. So if we look right here, let's see if we got pedal assembly on here. Clutch pedal assembly. Okay, right here. A203 290 5601. So if I copy that, go over to eBay, we can see if this is going to pop up anything. Most likely not, but maybe we'll get lucky. Okay, try it without the A. You could also try separating, and we get stuff, but it's not what we need. So here's my life hack for you. Sometimes you get lucky looking in, you know, the Americas and all that stuff, but a lot of times it is a lot more helpful because there is a lot more Mercedes in Germany. So we need to look at the eBay Germany. Okay, so I'm going to take that same thing that I copied. I'm going to search it. Nothing in this case. Let's try to make sure we switch up part number. Okay, again. Okay, we're getting stuff, but not the right stuff. So let's search more common terms. Let's search Mercedes clutch pedal. Okay, and here we go. We're starting to get some stuff. Okay, not what we need still. These are for other parts, but let's see. Let's try like W203. And again, it's asking us what model year. No, we don't want that. W203. Okay, here we go. Look at this. All right, this is not the right one. You can tell right away because the clutch reservoir is on the right side. This is for a right-hand drive car. You need it to be for a left-hand drive car, obviously. So let's keep looking. Here we go. W203. See if this is right. No, this is for a right-hand drive car. It's not what we want. This is kind of odd too because unless this is coming from somewhere else, German's all left-hand drive. So let's keep looking. See if we got anything. It's not looking like anything, so let's scroll back up. Let's say Mercedes, or we can even do like C-class clutch pedal. Okay, and we can say, whoops. Let's go back, we don't need that on. Let's say used. All right. Surprising. So typically, I can find a handful of these. And we might have to jump into like actual part numbers for these, but let's keep trying. We could also just do pedal assembly. The key thing to point out here, guys, is Mercedes uses like very specific wording. Like, for instance, when you're looking for shift linkages for the manual transmissions, it's not shift linkages, it's gear shift mechanism. That's what it's labeled at as English. So you can search all day long Mercedes shift linkages, and you might get some stuff because that's what other people that are selling them label them as. But the people that are trying to list them properly, or auto recyclers will just go off of the actual manufacturer name. You'll only find it if you switch to gear shift mechanism, and we'll try to search that here in a second. But let's see if we can get anything for this. Not find anything now, guys, unfortunately. Oh, W202. Okay, this would work. It's going to be a little bit different shape, but the key part is this backplate right here. This is the same bolt pattern for like forever, for pretty much all Mercedes. Maybe differences on like some Benz or things like that, but for C classes or even E classes, it's all going to be the same bolt pattern. So the chances are, it's like 90% chance all these are going to fit. I know that W2 pedals fit in the W203 and W3 fit in the W202. W204 also fit. They can also be interchanged. So this is just something as a possibility right now that we could definitely get. So that's US $150 plus the shipping. That's too much. I wouldn't pay more than around maybe $90 to $100 shipped, even if it's from Germany. So yeah, we're not having much luck with the pedal part right now. We could definitely keep finding some if I jumped on database and got more numbers, because there's a bunch of different part numbers for clutch pedals, just like for everything. There's so many different little variations, and whether it came in this car or that car or this car. Proof that I'm at work right now. So yeah, whether it came in this car, that car, whatever else, it's going to have all these tiny different variations for part numbers. And one really helpful thing to find those is Namiga parts. And you can go to an EPC online, electronic parts catalog. Go to car, go to W203, where are you? And then just start going through the different models. Okay, let's go to a C270 and let's find one that had a manual transmission. And let's see, we need to go back to body. Actually, that's for the actual transmission. Let's go to pedal assembly, and it's going to give you the different options. So it looks like this was the one with a clutch pedal. So you can see, let's see if it has a whole pedal assembly part number. Probably already passed it right now. Clutch pedal. So it's probably going to be like one of these, or these are replacement individuals. But anyways, this is like an invaluable resource. This is no secret. EPCs are all over the place, but sometimes you have to pay for them or use them with Star or DOS. But Namiga Parts is a great one that I use. There used to be another one I used, but it got closed down. So I've been using this one for a while now, just when you need to search. Really helpful for finding like individual little tiny pieces. And it'd be a great way to find all the different clutch pedal assembly numbers. But we're not going to spend a bunch of time on that right now. It's basically laid out for you guys how you can find these. You just got to do the digging. But typically, I paid $80 for the C classes, my W203s, and I paid, I think, $90 for the W124 pedal assembly. And that's just because I was trying to find one quick. You can actually find those for a lot cheaper if you're patient. But yeah, $50 to $90, I would say, is what you want to spend on a pedal assembly. Let's move on. Okay, next thing, and this one, now that I know this next thing is a lot easier nowadays, the drive shaft. So if I just search like Mercedes C-Class drive shaft. Now, one thing that I did not know is that the non-AMG models, I just didn't know this because I didn't have, this is not a brag, but I didn't have a C-Class that wasn't an AMG. I have in the past. I had a C230 compressor, W202 and W203, but I never looked at the flanges on them to know that this was the case, but I was under the assumption, because when I pulled the drive shaft on my C55, if you guys know, the AMG automatics are 4-prong, and you need a 3-prong for the manual assemblies. All the automatics that are not AMG are 3-prong from that era. So instead of trying to find, especially if you have to customize the length, instead of trying to find a manual transmission one, you can just find an automatic one and have it lengthened at whatever shop you have nearby you, or shortened. But sometimes you can also get lucky, and we can search, for instance, oh, we're in Germany. Let's go back to the US. You can also search for these in Germany, but I would do US for these because they're pretty common. Unless you are looking for the manual one, Germany might be a good way to go. So maybe we can search for a manual. And you have to kind of just verify this with the seller, try to look at part numbers, etc. But it's going to be a lot rarer to find the manual drive shafts for these. So I ended up using a W204 one in the C55, and it was a perfect fit. And there's different lengths for all of these. Some of them are the exact same. Some of them are 1 inch longer, 1.5 inches longer, 2 inches longer, 3 inches shorter. Just there's so many variations of these. You kind of got to go based off of what you're going to do. But if you are going to swap a W203, for instance, sedan, you're going to use either a Crossfire one, a W204 manual one, or any of the W203 manual transmission ones. So those are the ones you want to search out for. And typically, if you buy, let's say you buy a manual one, you're going to pay $100 to $150. And if you have it customized, you're going to pay that same amount on top of whatever you purchase the drive shaft for. So what I would do, honestly, nowadays, just because the manual transmission drive shafts are really hard to find sometimes, I would just find the 3-prong automatic. I would test it to see if you can get it to fit as is. And then if you're not able to, then just get it lengthened or shortened at a drive shaft shop near you. Life hack on that. Let's search this up, actually. Let's see if we can find one for a Chrysler Crossfire. And we could even head back to carpart.com in a second. Drive shafts. Okay, and let's see if they have used. Okay, and here we go. Here it is. Look at this. This is a rear drive shaft, though. We need the front. Okay, automatic. But anyways, let's just say, not this one. Let's go back and get the other one. This is from a manual, but it's only... No, this is the front section. They got this wrong. This is the same exact one I have that I'm using on the E420 now that I lengthened. So yeah, this is the front half. Somebody mislabeled this. So this is a perfect example. $150, just like I said. I called it on the money without even knowing. Here it is. This is one you could get. This is a drop-in fit for the W203. So forget all the stuff we were searching for. Well, don't forget it, but now we have one right there. So let's see. Adding up what we have so far off the top of my head. Let's say we had $300 to $350 for the manual transmission. We got another $90 for a pedal assembly. Let's just round it up. Let's say we're at, I don't know, $450. And then adding on $150 here, we're at about $600 or so, or less, depending on what you do. And like I said, if you find a whole junkyard car, you could have this for, you know, a quarter of that cost. So moving on, we got a drive shaft. Let's move on to what else do we need? Shifter setups. Okay, here's where it gets fun. Let's see if we can get lucky in the American eBay here. Let's go Mercedes, and here again, let's search the key Mercedes term, gear shift mechanism. Let's see if anything pops up. Look at that, we got lucky. Okay, here we go. This is for a W211, but this will work just fine in the W203. You would most likely have to, you know, adjust the sizing possibly, but it'll give you everything you need to at least get going. Let's see if we can find another one. That's a really lucky find, actually, right off the bat. Here's another one. This is out of Lithuania. Now, some of these, notice that these are going to be different based on which transmission they came with. Now, I highly recommend doing the modification that I did to switch the shift linkage to the later style. The early styles have a cable mechanism where they have a cable dropping down that controls the left and right position of the shifter, and then you have that pull up for the getting into reverse. It's a reverse lockout basically. I highly suggest switching to this style, because then you can get rid of that cable assembly entirely, because it's just a mess and adjusting it is annoying, and I don't recommend it. So this one is a great shift assembly to go with, but you got to be careful. Some of these are electronic for the late model ones. So this is one that would work though just fine. You can take off that little cover on the bottom and grease up the fittings and all that stuff, but it's just a plastic cover guard. This part at the back attaches into a little holder, and then those nut holes will fit into chassis bolts that are already there. So yeah, this would be a great option. 160 bucks, well actually closer to 200 US plus $43 shipping. I would make an offer again. I would keep this under $150. Make offers on these things. People sit on these things forever and ever and ever, and you'd be so surprised at what offers people will accept just to get them cleared out, because they have all these parts and they don't need them sitting around. I've had gear shift mechanisms before I switched to the BMW setup that I have now. I was making offers. There was assemblies in Germany for like $300, and I would offer them $80, and they'd meet me at $100 or $140 shipped. So you can get really great deals. You just got to search around, be willing to negotiate, make an offer. Worst they can say is no. Try it out, okay? So let's say we're moving on. If you wanted to go with a factory option, a couple different variations. There's a ton of part numbers on these, so we're not going to go over all that, but there is so many options, and we got a couple good ones right here. You can use the boots like we're seeing. This one even comes with a boot. Look at this. This would be a pretty good deal right here, because the boots can be expensive sometimes for the OEM ones. If you wanted an OEM one, this one's a little beat up but pretty cheap. So yeah, just pick and choose. You can buy the assembly by itself like this. So ton of different options, guys. But again, search around. If it's not on eBay in the US, go search a German eBay. You'll find a ton of them. But we're not going to go over that right now, because it's just more time that we can spend doing something else. So let's continue on. What if you don't want to run the factory shift options? You want to do a custom setup like I have on the C55. Well, all you need to find, if I search like BMW chassis mounted shifter, okay, you have a ton of options for these, okay? You can see, look, Carrot Top Tuning is now reselling the Jack Spania one. Jack Spania is a sponsor of the channel. They supplied the shifter for the E420 actually. I used a Cooler Work shifter on the C55. I'm not sponsored by them, but paid my own money for that. It's a great shifter. Garagistic has some great shifters you can use. Here's one. I like this style, but the Cooler Works one, I prefer it because it has the return spring, and they also have some different options. You can see the different lengths. They have more of a race style where it's a higher up position, and then they have more of a factory style where it's still a little bit higher than a typical factory shifter, but still lower than the race style. So something like this, really good deal on this. I think I paid, these have gone down in price a lot. I think I paid like close to $500 for mine. So I knew that these would lower down in price eventually, but that's a great deal right there. $300 for the factory style length shifter. And then from here, you just build a shift rod using Heim joints. So we would search solid Heim joints, and you're going to want 10 millimeter. And basically you just find Heim joints like this and a size rod that you want to use. Don't try to go more than like maybe like a 3/8 size rod, just so you're not interfering with anything with the drive shaft and the transmission. But yeah, you can add them in. You can go to my E420 videos. You can see how I made that shift rod for mine. And on the C55, I actually just customized the factory shift rod that I had. It's kind of a quote-unquote ghetto setup, but Oh, lights off. That's all right. We'll keep the lights off. It's kind of a janky setup, but I'm going to go back and fix it using the style that I did on the E420 now. I learned my lesson and made it better on the E420. It's still working great on the C55, but I'll definitely go in and clean it up in the future. But yeah, go check that out on my E420 swap series if you guys want to see exactly what I'm talking about. But pretty simple, straightforward. You're just making a rod with the two Heim joint ends like you see here, and those will connect to your shifter and to the shift knuckle that's on the transmission. Now if you're using this style setup, then you want a BMW shift knuckle, okay, not cuckle, knuckle, okay, and they're gonna look like these, but I would just go for the garagistic one right off the bat, because you can get the extended one and it'll make it a lot cleaner, a lot easier fit. It already has the bushings inside of it. Super nice, and you can see the different variations that you can find. I tested out this one on the left, this third one, and I decided that I would prefer having the extended version here. They were a sponsor for the E420, so shout out to the Garagistic again. This is a great deal actually. When they had it, it was $80 I think. And the way they do for sponsorships, you can pay them and then they'll reimburse you afterwards after you show them, you know, what you guys agreed to and stuff. So they reimburse it, but still $58. It looks like they're having the cyber sale right now. Definitely a good time to buy that. So yeah, you would use that on the transmission side, connect it over to the shifter. You got what you need. And the key thing is your shifter needs to be positioned a little bit slanted off to the right. So if you're looking at it from the back passenger seat, you're going to see it sitting off to the right, which I'm pointing the opposite way for you guys on camera, but it's not going to be perfectly dead center. It's going to be off a little bit. That's just how Mercedes does their shifters. So you need to account with that with the centering spring on the shifter, or with how you mount the rod or how you position the Heim joints when you tighten them down on the rod, because you're basically building, you know, like imagine like a big tie rod or suspension rod that you're building. You can adjust it. So that being said, that is it for the shifter setups options. Let's go ahead and get into clutch pedal and assemblies regarding that. Okay, first thing, let's just search W203 manual flywheel. Let's see what we get. Okay, right here we go. We can see FCP Euro carries many different part numbers for these flywheels. Now, I'm going to go reference my own videos again, just to keep it simple for you guys. The flywheel I used was this part number right here from Luck, and it is actually out of a W204. The reason I went with that one was just because it was a little bit easier for me to find, and I knew it was a little bit newer design coming out of a W204. So let me go ahead, I'm going to search the Mercedes part number and see if we can get, because I think FCP Euro is still carrying it. I just checked not too long ago. Maybe not though. Not showing up. Let's put these part numbers together. Here we go. Okay. Definitely raise the price. Let me double check. Is that the right number? That is. When I bought it, it was only $600 off FCP Euro. So luckily mine's lifetime now, so I can keep sending it back if I ever needed to. But you can find deals on these all day long. Like head over to Rock Auto. Let's go to, let's search, let's just go, we can search W203, W204, doesn't matter. Let's go to Mercedes. Let's go to, let's say like 2006. I'm going to go to a C350 because we want the strongest one we can get. And I'm going to go to transmission manual. And then I'm going to go to flywheel. And showing right here, perfection color. I've never even heard of that. Dual mass. Okay, they don't have that. But they do have, let's see, clutch kits. Out of stock as well. Guys, I'm telling you, the popularity on these is rising. There's no way any of these would have been sold out previously. We can check. Let's check some other models. Let's do like let's do 2006 SLK, SLK 350. This is going to be the same part numbers. We might have to search for 320s, or we can search the crossfires. Let's see if they show anything different though. There is one other one, but no, let's search from the crossfires. So we can also search C230s on the Mercedes side, all kinds of stuff. We're running out of time here though. I gotta get going, and I gotta edit and get this out to you guys. I only got so much time today. So let's go through crossfire, 3.2 regular V6. Let's go to transmission manual, flywheel. Man, out of stock. Yeah, guys, I'm not joking. They're way more popular than this used to be. I would have been able to find those all day long on Rock Auto, for instance. But anyways, FC Bureau will still carry these now. You could get kits from the Kangaroos team as well, aftermarket kits, or like Ren Sport. I would highly recommend something like that, even for like long-term durability. M113 swap kit. Let's see. M113 manual transmission. M119. Let's see. The Kangaroos team. Let's see. Okay, let's just search M119 manual transmission. Okay, here it is. Okay, and then let's go to gearbox and clutch kits. And I don't even know if they have this on their site, but they do make them. And they're a lot less expensive than the M119 because you don't need all the adapter piece and all that stuff. I'm not going to say the price because I don't know off the top of my head, but I know they're pretty cost efficient for what they give you. You would get a single mass, a clutch, and pressure plate from them, and it would be a lot more heavy duty than what you would get from the factory stuff. You basically get the factory Mercedes, what's it called? Diesel clutches and flywheels, so those are plenty beefy. And then you would get a single mass, which is a better option than a dual mass in my opinion. My case, when I was first starting this out on the C55, there wasn't as much, number one, and I wasn't as informed, number two. So I just went with what I knew was going to work, and I tried to get a beefy setup. So I picked, the C300 or C350 stuff. So I got a C300 flywheel from the W204 like you see, and I got actually a used clutch off of a W203 C350. I got super lucky on eBay. It just happened to pop up. I got the clutch for like, I don't even know, like 50 bucks, and it was only 3,000 miles used. So I got really lucky with that. And then the flywheel, like I said, I paid for it brand new, and it was $600. So right there, if we're going up to 600, we already had, and then let's say, another 150 to 300, depending on what you want to do for the shift assembly, if I've already added that in or not. We're getting close to that 1,000 mark. And then with the clutch and flywheel, we're getting up to that, $1,500 to $1,800. But if you can be smart and take your time and shop around and really figure out what you want to do, what method you want to go with, my swap in total cost me less than $1,500 all in, even with the brand new flywheel. And after, you got to consider this too, if you want to sell the parts after you're done. I sold my automatic trans, which I actually regret doing. I wish I would have kept it for another project. I sold the TCM. I sold a bunch of stuff off of the C55 that I didn't need anymore from the automatic, and I was able to recoup about $500 or $600. So all in, I was at about $800 for what it cost after all said and done on the C55 to do the whole swap kit. That number is almost unheard of for any car ever when it comes to a manual transmission swap, unless you're getting everything, like I said, in one go from a junkyard. In that case, you can get everything for super cheap. But for a Mercedes, it's just not what people would expect to swap a transmission in a car that never came manual. Nobody would expect it to cost that little. Most people would guess, $5,000, $6,000, but it's just very, very cost effective, and most people still don't know that. Even after all the information I've put out, JigTrax has put out, Dimitri shared, and all the others that have shared, this information. People just still don't realize. So that being said, there's really not a ton else you guys would have to worry about doing. If you guys are not familiar with the video series that I've done or others, you don't even have to code it when you first finish a swap. All you need to do is keep the automatic selector. All you need to do is keep the automatic set to park, and then you need to keep the TCM plugged in, and you can drive around like that as long as you want to. You'll have a check engine light, yes, but it won't affect drivability, won't affect what's called stability control or anything like that. So you'll be good to go. I drove the C55 like that for like a week and a half before me and Dimitri coded it. Now, for those that are interested in the coding, I'm actually going to have a video coming up on that as part of VLOGMAS because I've gotten so many questions about that. What's the update? What did you end up doing with the C55 and the coding? Because I never really updated that in a particular video. I have talked about it in other videos, but people have missed it or they didn't catch the info in the bio or whatever. So I'm going to make a dedicated video in the next few days as part of VLOGMAS for the coding side of things. And we're even going to try to go into Star and see if I can show you guys my variant coding on the C55. So yeah, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close it out right here. So I'll see you guys on the phone camera. All right, guys, that'll go ahead and wrap up this video. I hope that can be helpful to some. I know I didn't cover everything in full detail, but please shoot me a comment down below. I am more than happy to answer all these questions. I don't want to be a gatekeeper on any of this information. Costs on these things are rising regardless, and there's people trying to put these swap kits together that are junk, and you shouldn't be buying them because they are making a killing off of the money that you're giving them for those entire swap kits. And the condition of most of them that I see is not good. You could be putting together a majority new piece swap kit for a fraction of the price. So don't fall down that trick rabbit hole. And yeah, I just want to give you guys opportunity to try to do this. If you guys want to do this for yourselves, that's the whole reason I've shared the whole swap videos, everything in detail, because I want to be as open source as possible. With this, with everything I do with the cars, I don't like holding information or trying to profit off of all these things. People deserve to try to build their cars how they want to, and I've learned so much from other people that have shared with me that is what inspired the channel in the first place. I wanted to share the same thing back. So that is a mission statement that has been and always will be. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this one. I will see you guys soon on the next day of VLOGMAS. Peace.